You guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we can grab some coffee?
Coffee! Coffee, 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 coffee!
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on us.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, 10:17 a.m., and it's Gary's day off. My name is Christopher Moonlight, and welcome to Morning Coffee. So let's bring in the wrecking crew, why don't we? We have Das Wolfen. Good morning, sir.
Guten Morgen.
No longer Nosferatum Bubengraben now that Halloween is over. It's unfortunate, but we still know you have an enormous Wandstücker. And we have Scott Lewis, who is only joining us for a little bit. He's got things to do, but we're always happy to have him. Welcome, Scott.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. And of course, the rock for which we all crash against, Martin. Thank you so much for always being here and being our support. He's a great guy. Give him a round of applause. And
jazz hands.
jazz hands. So we have let's see, who do we have today in the chat? We have Socks Bulletins, Alf Jeevis. Oh no, well, the cats aren't here, Alf, so I locked them out, so they're safe. Bill Barclay and D Bud Martin, and we also have, let's see, I think that's, Keylock. Yo. Good morning, everyone. And Anima Confucia. Thank you so much for being here. She should really be in here so, she can chastise me for screwing up German. And I apologize for not wearing any clothes on yesterday's show. Won't happen again.
That's disturbing. That's disturbing.
Dragon Roos is also here. Good morning. And of course, we do have a lady in the chat. So we are pumping iron. It's a bit early for pumping iron. I've just finished my coffee. Usually I'm up for ages by now, but because yesterday was Halloween and I pretty much ate every cheat food I have on my list last night, along with a bunch of Halloween candy, I am moving slow today and kind of dehydrated from all the salt and sugar. But yeah, and by the way, before we get started, Das Wolfen, how's the video game console going?
Well, the controller, yeah, it's going well. I just got 2 more parts in this morning. I got the spinner and I got the Tron flight stick.
Is it? You got it handy? Oh wow, that is cool.
Yep, it's LED lights, got the trigger in the handle.
That is really cool. Tron, of course, when I was a little kid, was a movie that I was crazy about. And as far as the spinner goes, Anima's at work. Boo. Who needs a job?
I've even got an actual Tron emblem for the top.
That's very cool. I used to make, that was like my favorite thing to make out of Legos, was those stompers from Tron.
Yeah.
But I got to say, too, the spinner, man, I saw that spinner in it shows how old I am, a catalog for Atari stuff. I mowed so many lawns trying to save up for that, only to have, yes, I'm wearing a shirt this morning, only to have, come on, I'm not that pale. It's just how the webcam shows me off. But anyway, yeah, mowed a lot of lawns only for to have the Nintendo system come out in the middle of me saving up for it, and then obliterated that just wasn't the cool system anymore. Suddenly everyone wanted the Nintendo. But so we are talking Primal, one of my favorites. Hey nerds. I'm just enjoying the chat, by the way. One of my favorite animators of all time, to be quite honest. And there are a lot of great ones out there. Of course, there are the classic Disney animators, people like Chuck Jones. But Genndy Tartakovsky, the creator of Primal, and Primal, by the way, I should explain what that is first, and then we'll kind of backtrack to the history of the creator of Primal. So Primal is a prehistoric, but not a historically accurate prehistoric. It's like the fantasy prehistoric era, and it's kind of like almost a Conan the Barbarian type prehistoric world, where there are dinosaurs, there are different kinds of Neanderthal people, some more like apes. The lead character, who is called Spear, is kind of a Neanderthal man. And there are dinosaurs, and there are fantasy creatures like giant spiders and bat people and giant snakes, weird plagues, and there's no dialogue. Every episode is completely visual. So if you're the kind of person that likes to turn on the TV and listen almost like it's a radio show while you do other things, this is not going to be the show for you, because it demands your complete attention, because it is what I've talked about before. This is a show created by people who love animation and want to show you just how cool animation can be and push it to the limits of the medium, which is what I truly love about any storytelling art form.
Let me ask a question, Chris.
Sure.
Doesn't the audio and doesn't the sound effects work great with this show? Because I was very impressed with the audio from this.
This is exactly right. It's a great point. There's a lot of great, fantastic sound design with it. He works directly with musicians to come up with exactly the musical tone themes. You wouldn't. I don't know if the sound design is so great that you would know what was going on without looking. Because
it kind of catches you without you knowing what's going on.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on with the performances, because even though there's no dialogue, Spear, the caveman who rides a female dinosaur, it's not a T-Rex, but it looks a lot like a T-Rex, named Fang. And there's a lot of, if he communicates with her, there's a lot of just, him going, "Rah!" Or grunting, and the dinosaur roars back at him, and there's great sound design there. There's great music. This is a story as well where the landscape, the actual setting of this prehistoric world, is a character in itself. And every episode they're traveling. So they travel to new environments. So one episode they're in the mountains, another episode they're in open fields with tall grass, deserts, snowy tundras. There's an episode where they hunt a woolly mammoth. And so the audio and visual work together to bring these environments to life. And a lot of times we have, we just have the environment. We just are allowed to kind of see the environment and exist in it as the audience before the action starts to happen, and the environment becomes part of the storytelling as well. So it's just a brilliant show. And it's also, I think you'll all agree, this is probably the most brutal thing ever presented on television. And if it was done live action, which I don't think would be possible, but if it was done live action, it would be an NC-17 show, because it's characters are constantly, especially in the second season, because in the first season you don't actually encounter too many humans. It's Spear against the environment and all the crazy creatures. In the second season, there's more people, and they're getting ripped to shreds. And this is a show that is, I don't want to say it's not morally ambiguous. I don't know. It's just, it's a world, because it's primal, where no laws and no ethics have been established yet. So, I mean, what do you think, John? You think that's a good way of describing it?
Yeah, it's laws of nature. That's the only law and the strong conquers the weak.
And the whole, I think Genndy Tartakovsky, who I do want to talk about, the animator who created the show and is the director of it, said, what's the plot of the show? And he said one word: survive. These characters are in a world that is a pre-civilization world that is dangerous and can kill you at any time. And you do see people get killed brutally, and the innocent and the guilty alike. And nobody's spared. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking spoilers too, by the way. And I see that, let's see, we already got Dragon Roost, but Zax is here as well. Welcome, Zax. Let's see. I keep looking at the different chats that I'm seeing. Real Wade Nation is here. And did we get Magitech Mags?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And Kingsport Cal.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure that nobody is missed. Gary is much better at this stuff than I am, but I try my best. So yeah, do we want to talk kind of the plot of the show first with spoilers, or do you think we should kind of go back in time exactly who Genndy Tartakovsky is? Because he's done a lot of stuff that people know. I'd like to see Tartakovsky do Splatterhouse. Yeah. AF Watcher 88. It is it's 4:30 here where anime is. Yeah.
Go with the spoilers now, then go into some of the other stuff that you like to talk to, see what you'd like to do. Be warned, there is going to be spoilers coming up here. But I would go into that first.
Okay. Well, I will say that the first episode blew me away. It's also the only episode that I cannot watch again because as a father, it is so sad. And this is something, again, it's hard to talk about the show without talking about the artist behind it as well. But it's a show, the show opens with Fang, this Neanderthal caveman who is massive. I mean,
Spear.
Spear. Yeah, there's my dyslexia.
Spear.
So he's waiting on a rock in kind of still water with a spear, looking into the water like he's gonna stab some fish. And suddenly this giant kind of prehistoric gator creature type thing leaps out of the water, giant, and tries to eat him. And he dodges it, and I can't remember if he does battle with it and kills it or not. Like I said, that's the one episode that I've only watched one time. But he ends up, getting out of that, taking his fish back. He's on his way back to his family. He's got 2 young kids and a wife. Well, I don't know if you call her a wife because this is pre-marriage era, but he has a woman and 2 kids. And he arrives just in time to see them eaten very graphically and bloody by a group of, I think, two T-Rex looking dinosaurs. He tries to fight them, but they get away. And of course, he's devastated. And you see him climb to the top of a cliff and just wait there, pondering jumping off. And then he decides not to. And he comes across another T-Rex-like creature.
Sax.
What's that?
Sax is leaving us because he's only on episode 3.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I hope you come back. But anyway, so he comes across this dinosaur and he tries to fight it. I don't know if he's maybe trying to fight it in the hopes that he dies in the fight. or if he just wants vengeance. But it turns out that this isn't the one that ate his family. The ones that ate his family show up, and they start devouring the young baby dinosaurs of this other dinosaur. And he decides to team up with this dinosaur and kill those dinosaurs. So they get their vengeance, but both of them are alone. So they pair up. And the following episodes are kind of these two characters learning to get along, because they don't get along at first. They have an experience where he keeps trying to hunt, and every time he kills something, the other dinosaur eats it. So he's trying to eat, and they almost have a falling out, but then they are beset upon by giant snakes in a flood. And they have to work together once again to survive that. So it's hard to do this story justice, because that's every episode is kind of another survival thing, but the characters evolve, the environments change. My favorite episode is more of a fantasy episode where when you first meet them, they are running from a pack of velociraptors through a grassy field, and then the velociraptors stop because the sun is setting, and there's something in this environment that scares them more. They're nope out. They disappear, and Fang and Spear are left in this environment, and they come across these bat creatures that swoop down and take you back to their high up cliffside cave that's inhabited by their queen, which is a weird spider creature that webs them up. It's like they've got a symbiotic relation. And it's just crazy, the things that happen in this episode. And again, no sound. It's all music, lots of tribal drums. He is spearing creatures through the neck and head, blood gushing everywhere. And there's episodes where characters are getting hit so hard by impacts that they're getting crushed, that their skeletons and guts are exploding out of their bodies. It's just incredible. And if I'm selling it, by the way, is this super brutal show that is just brutality for brutality's sake. I don't know, maybe you could say it is, but there's I wouldn't say that. Yeah, well, there's a really strong emotional core to this show, which is the fact that he is still grieving for his lost family. And
Fang's not just a dumb dinosaur.
No. Fang has a lot of and this is almost like a man and his dog story in a way.
Yeah. Well, and because Fang tracks the bat creature, because they take Spear and they fly up to their haven up there at the top of this pillar. So after trying to climb it, Fang realizes he can't climb it, so he sees them flying in and out, so he plays dead. So they'll scoop him up and take him up there so that he can be up there with Spear.
Yeah.
And that's when you discover about the spider and that they're bringing food for that they worship.
Well, there's a loyalty between the two characters.
Yeah.
Which is really endearing. And the fact that they are incredibly masculine characters, even though Fang is a girl.
Fang is a female.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But they have actually sometimes they do exhibit fear, but they are brave beyond all reason. There's one of my favorite episodes. I keep saying that because every time I think of a certain episode, it's like, well, maybe that's my favorite because they're all spectacular. But there's an episode where you kind of get the impression they're going, oh, this is where we can settle. They find this kind of paradise jungle environment where the fish don't seem to have any predators, so they're easy to catch. And there's a beach, and there's fruit and everything they could need. And it's just this wonderful moment where Spear goes swimming in the water and just kind of floating around and enjoying himself. But there's worms in the sand, and some worms come up, and Fang gets freaked out because she flashes back to when they had to deal with the giant snakes. And, you know, Spear being more intelligence just kind of like shrugs and goes like, it's just worms, it's not snakes. But you see Fang kind of run off and kind of roar back at him like, nope, I don't want anything to do with that. And he's kind of trying to convince her that, no, this is a great place, we should settle here. It's all done without dialogue. Unfortunately, there is a catch in that, again, Fang gets kidnapped this time by these Neanderthal creatures, and in a ritualist, she gets put in a ritualistic battle where this priest, Neanderthal priest, gives a drop of this black liquid substance to one of their warriors, which makes him kind of Hulk out like the Incredible Hulk. He gets bigger and.
Well, they're not Neanderthal. They're like Lucy, like Archaeopithecus or whatever. They're more monkey-like than Neanderthal. And Spear gets captured too.
Yeah. He sees Fang getting almost pretty much beat to death. Matter of fact, at the end of the episode, you do think she's dead. But he manages to escape, and he grabs the whole bowl of this black liquid and drinks the whole thing
and hulks out.
I mean, like
literally.
crazy, and kills. I mean, it looks like there's hundreds of them as well. And again, this is when he's hitting them so hard that their guts are exploding, their heads are twisting off. And again, it's like I said, it's brutal, not just to go like, let's see how brutal we can make this, but it's brutal to just give you the impression of this environment, this pre-civilization environment that they live in. It's kill or be killed. And, you know, I think it's, in a way, it's a great example of just kind of getting people to realize why we built civilization. This idea that, you know, our society is degenerating, or our society is, you know, put us out of touch with nature, and therefore it's terrible. It's like, no, the default of our human experience is suffering and starvation and brutality. And we built civilization so we didn't have to live that way anymore. And this kind of, again, even though this is a fictional environment, it gives you a great impression of, you know, you look at it and you go, this is a cool animated cartoon and I'm really enjoying it, but God, it would suck.
Yeah.
You know, we would die right away in this environment. And Fang, this great hulking mass, you know, he has to struggle in it. So, but again, you know, it still deals with very human story beats, you know, the idea of loss, the idea, I mean, suicide, you know, the fact that this is a character, I mean, you would not see this in a kid's show, characters pondering suicide. Sadness, there are scenes where they're, you know, at a campfire in a cave or something, and he starts drawing his family that he lost on the cave walls, and you see him flash back to what the experiences he had with his family, teaching his little son to hunt, or, you know, being with his wife. And that is actually something that was explored a little bit in the final season of another show that Tartakovsky did, which was Samurai Jack, which is an amazing show.
And even in Clone Wars.
In Clone Wars as well.
Hey, Keith.
Keith is here. Good morning, Keith.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Fun. Sounds like you just woke up.
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, and happy day one of DC Studios, everybody.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
It's official.
Now,
it is official today.
We're going to bring that up because Adult Swim also ties into HBO Max, and we are seeing a lot of cutbacks on animation. So I'm actually a little worried about the future of this show, because it is it could be on the chopping block. I don't know if it's something the Zaslav would look at and go, no, this is a good show, and people seem to like it. So, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk a little bit about, like I said, the history of who Genndy Tartakovsky is. And
well, we still need to do season 2.
We'll get to season 2 because
Okay.
it's. I'm gonna bring it right back around because season 2 is kind of a different animal.
Yeah.
And I think we can relate it to Samurai Jack in a way. So Samurai Jack, I'm sure everybody knows, was what was it? It came out in the early 2000s, I believe.
Mhm.
And the idea behind it was, Genndy Tartakovsky, who is a Russian immigrant. He came to America as a child with his family to escape communism. And he fell in love with the old Popeye cartoons and samurai movies.
Oh, I remember now. No. In your research, that should have came up. He had a Popeye movie he was doing.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Yeah. I remember seeing the test footage from that. That was amazing.
Yeah, and that was. We'll talk about that along with another movie series that he did, which was Hotel Transylvania, because his evolution as an animator kind of ties into those two things.
So we're not going to talk Clone Wars?
We will talk Clone Wars. We'll get to that. We're going back in time. We're starting. Well, I would start with Dexter's Laboratory. But Dexter's Laboratory was part of the, if you remember, the What a Cartoon show that was kind of the first lineup of original animation from Cartoon Network, where before they were just running classic cartoons. And then they did, he also worked with Craig McCracken on Powerpuff Girls.
Yep.
And he did his own Dexter's Laboratory, and he also did one called Two Stupid Dogs, which didn't last as long.
Yeah, which wasn't as good.
Yeah, but it was it was like, that was when they were finding their feet. But, it's part of the lineup with like, what was it? Kids
Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
Ed, and Eddie. And then he wanted to do more of an action-oriented show, which, he said it was like, I just want to do something where I sit down and go, okay, what would 10-year-old me have just been super excited about? And it's like samurai. Well, they couldn't do samurai slicing up people at the time, so it had to be robots. And he's like, well, robots are cool. So he came up with Samurai Jack, which is the story of a samurai who's as a child, his village is beset by a demon called Aku, who you find out later came from space, and his father had vanquished but has returned. He is sent off to train. Space Ghost Coast to Coast was awesome. Yeah, they're part of the Cartoon Network. He goes around the world and he trains in Africa, China, England. Just you see this montage of him training with all these different people to become like the ultimate samurai. And then he's given an enchanted sword that he has to be worthy of to wield. And he goes to kill Aku, but just before he manages to kill Aku sends him into the future, the far future, which is kind of a Star Wars type future, where Aku has taken over everything. And if you, so Samurai Jack is wandering through this world again, just like Spear and Fang. Every episode, he would kind of be in a different environment, a different kind of future. Sometimes he was just in the forest, and other times he was in these mega cities that are kind of like, Coruscant and Star Wars,
So basically, it was more like Flash Gordon.
It was like Flash, but with magic, because there's magical entities and there's technology, and most of the time he's constantly being hunted by robots.
Well, I was thinking about the worlds of Mongo, which is where George Lucas got his idea for some of the Star Wars stuff, was having the multi-layered worlds of Mongo.
Oh yeah, well Lucas, I think Star Wars is definitely a big influence on Samurai Jack, because Samurai Jack, he's essentially a Jedi. Which, and again, Lucas was thinking of Jedi as samurais, so it comes full circle.
Oh yeah.
So
that's because one of the influences of Star Wars is Hidden Fortress.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Influence. I mean, it's Well, yeah, that's a whole other subject, but
yeah.
So Samurai Jack, essentially four seasons of this, and it was very minimalistic. It was this to save money on the budget. It was a very minimalistic style, beautiful. Again, Genndy Tartakovsky has a big thing for making environments be part of the character, which I believe in wholeheartedly. The environments are beautiful. Some of the episodes start with about 2-3 minutes of just shots of the environments until you see Samurai Jack kind of coming over the hill. And then it's him just kind of being in the environment. He does a lot with light, like Kurosawa does a lot with movement. Like Samurai Jack's coming in one direction while leaves or snow or rain are coming in another direction. And it's just a beautiful show. Again, very minimalistic, but it ended after 4 seasons with Samurai Jack never returning home. And then after 20 years, I believe, it got a 5th season, and it was an upgrade. Samurai Jack, apparently the plot is he's gone a bit mad because of the space-time continuum, him being from the past. He doesn't age. He just grew this big beard and is all disheveled. So essentially he's Keanu Reeves. But he lost his sword, which Aku does not know, because Aku stopped bothering Samurai Jack. So Aku's kind of in this. There's this great moment where he's described as being in this malaise where he's just he's literally just standing there going like, he's still out there and it's taunting him. And Aku is hilarious because he's this evil demon, but he's also really funny. But anyway, again, same thing. Samurai Jack has gone a bit crazy. All the portals that he was seeking back to the past have been destroyed, so he has no way of getting home and correcting this future. And he's gone a bit crazy. He's disheveled, but he's talking to this kind of like evil version of himself that's telling him like it's over. The only honorable thing to do as a samurai is to commit simbuku. I think I might have pronounced that wrong, but to kill himself. So again, just like in Primal, we're dealing with this idea of suicide. But he continues on. He's now being chased by the daughters of Aku, which I would just like to say, as someone, Genndy Tartakovsky is not active on social media except to post things every once in a while on his Instagram. Seppuku, I think Alf Jeeves put it there. Firestones was cool. Is that what Primal a prequel? Flintstones was cool. Is that what Primal's prequel to? It's funny because there's definitely we'll get to that as well. There's actually an episode of Dexter's Laboratory where they kind of do a Flintstones thing, but it's almost a proto-sphere. But I want to get back to Samurai Jack because Genndy Tartakovsky, like I said, he doesn't speak about his politics or give his opinions on anything. He just every once in a while posts on Instagram about what he's doing. He escaped communism as a child. And you do see things in Samurai Jack that are not overt, but they are kind of hints at where he's coming from. Aku is ruling Earth, but he keeps bringing in immigrants from other planets who are there's a scene where this kind of like warrior comes in, and because he's like this merciless assassin, he's brought in and they say like, where are we going to have you live on this planet? And it shows this like, happy village with these children playing and that sort of thing. And they go, he goes like, but that's already populated. And it's like, that's not a problem for you, is it? And he smiles evilly and he goes, no, it's not a problem. You see kind of this idea of what, I don't know how to describe it, but the environment that he escaped, the communist environment he escaped, is kind of represented in Aku's world. this idea of no freedom and destruction. And these people that are being sent to kill Samurai Jack, who are being told that Jack is the evil one, and that the whole world would be a better place if he was just obliterated. And when you see him capture one of these daughters of Aku, she's just spitting venom at him relentlessly, just going, "Die! You are the evil one. You are, And Jack's just sitting there rubbing his beard, going, "You are very disturbed." But he ends up capturing her and showing her what the world used to be like before Aku took over and destroyed it, and showing her that it wasn't him, like she'd been told all of her life, she'd been raised to believe. It wasn't him that was the evil one. It was Aku. So Aku kind of represents this like ultimate authoritarian dictatorship that just lets people suffer and mashes groups of people together and pits them against each other. And it's, again, very mature themes, but unless you're looking for it, you would never catch it.
Very much like Flash Gordon.
Yeah. The thing is again, flashing forward to Primal, these themes are revisited, but they're never done in ways that hit you over the head. Again, it's like I like to say with art should be useful, not preachy. And it just gives you things to think about in the form of this just amazing action. And again, he uses the medium, not dialogue. He shows you rather than tells you this stuff. You get to experience it. And Keith, since I know you want to talk about it, and we should talk about it because it's awesome. And I got the DVD right over here. Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So before there was even episode 3 of Star Wars, there was the Clone Wars, and this was before the Clone Wars series that was done by Dave Filoni. And again, it is Tartakovsky magic. Very little dialogue. There is some dialogue. I mean, they do get voice actors in, but it started out as these like 5-minute shorts of just action, because you never actually get to before this, you never got to see the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Episode 2 came out, and then they actually used this as a way to introduce this is the first time you meet Ventress.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first time you meet General Grievous as well. That's not General Grievous, by the way, in that. That's another one. But it's the first time you get to see Mace Windu in action. And then this right here is the first time we see General Grievous. And it's kind of funny because there was supposed to be the big reveal that Grievous had 4 arms in episode 3, but they forgot and they accidentally did the reveal in the Clone Wars. But this series actually ends with you see the kidnapping of Palpatine, I'm blocking on what his name is. It is Palpatine. Yeah. You see his kidnapping. You see an explanation of why General Grievous is coughing, because it's because he came in contact with Mace Windu, and Mace Windu messed him up bad.
He crushed his the plate that covers his heart. The chest plate is what Mace Windu crushed, which was supposed to help to explain why he was coughing in the 3rd film. Yeah. And while that was meant to be something that was talked about in the movie, that is only really covered in the novelization.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, with Star Wars, they have different explanations. Like in this, you see Shakti, I think is how you say it. You see her get face off with Grievous and fail, but she's left alive. Mm-hmm. And there's a deleted scene in episode 3 where Shakti I can't pronounce anything. But she's actually brought up to the ship and killed in front of Obi-Wan and Anakin. So this, and then I think she gets a different death in the novels and a different death in the comic books. So the many lives that she leads, but it's really a great thing. You see the clones in action for the first time, and there's a whole sequence of them coming down to storm a planet, and they're just using different hand signs, and like watching a SEAL Team 6 like raid on Bin Laden or something like that.
Which was one of the cool things about that. Look, Lucas went to Mr. Tartakovsky, and he liked the way that he did things. And Tartakovsky developed everything under George Lucas's watchful eye. And to me, I mean, I really personally cannot see the reason why they didn't go forward with doing more like this, because sometimes dialogue is good, sometimes it's not. I mean, the thing about Mr. Tartakovsky is it could go either way with him, although he seems to focus mainly on silence, on action with these characters. And it's one of the things that I think is going to make him, no matter what happens from here on out with Primal, it is one of the things that's going to make, that makes him very valuable to the future of what they're going to do at Warner Brothers Discovery. And I think if he hasn't already been approached, I'm pretty sure that certain people associated with DC Studios have approached him about helping them do certain things, like animated version, like something easy to animate would be you could go forward with kind of like a Sergeant Rock animated special. That'd be a character that you wouldn't see coming, or even Blackhawk.
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up, because one of the things about Tartakovsky, and I think this really happened because of Samurai Jack, Lucas became interested in and wanted to work with him for Clone Wars. And then what happened was, and some of this is speculation for me, but I know that Lucas likes to push technology. So I think he wanted to go CGI for the Clone Wars series, and Tartakovsky is more interested in hand-drawn animation to this day, even though he does work in CGI. And I think he wanted to move on. And when asked about, would he want to do more Star Wars, his comment was, well, I did Star Wars already, and I've had that experience, and I want to do other things. Now, that doesn't mean that there's two interesting things that happened after that. One is, my brain keeps going Dave Filoni, but the director of Iron Man,
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau saw his work on Clone Wars and Samurai Jack, and asked him to be the action director for Iron Man 2. And it's apparent when you see, especially at the end sequence where the robots go crazy and then chase them down into that kind of topiary environment. When you watch it closely, you see all the tells of Tartakovsky's style. That Kurosawa, he has like cherry blossoms falling down while they're getting ready for the battle, and it's very Tartakovsky-esque in that sense. And then he was asked by, I believe it was Adam Sandler, to direct Hotel Transylvania. And one of the things about Hotel Transylvania was, because it was CGI, Tartakovsky, he wanted to find what he loved about hand-drawn animation and kind of interpret it in 3D rather than just doing another 3D movie like everyone else was doing. So he started to look at his way of working, which was, and if you go to Clone Wars with like the lightsaber battles, he would find poses that the characters always kind of had beats where if you pause it, you could see all these cool poses, and then the action was kind of going from pose to pose to pose. And then if you look at his work in Hotel Transylvania, that's what he's doing with a lot of the action, the way the characters move when they're dancing, when Dracula's kind of, doing his thing where he kind of slinks in and out of the shadows. It's all poses. And then he also, instead of using motion blur in Hotel Transylvania, he used the animation tricks of hand-drawn animation where you draw like a distorted character in the middle of action So it looks like motion blur, but if you pause on that frame, and you see this in, like old Bugs Bunny cartoons and that sort of thing, it looks like their faces have like 3 or 4 eyes and are horribly stretched, like John Carpenter's The Thing. But when it's in motion, it looks like motion blur. So instead of having motion blur just baked into the animation, he would have the animators do those stretches with the characters in Hotel Transylvania. And then when he kind of got that figured out, and they asked him, like, well, what else do you want to do? He said, Popeye. I want to do Popeye. So when you watch this, and it's online, if anyone wants to find it, this Popeye proof of concept short that he did, it's the same kind of animated style, only in 3D. And Keith, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, because I know you're excited about it.
Oh, for those of you who have yet to see it, I gotta say, we were denied something very special. The look of that, the look of the work that he had accomplished with Popeye is amazing, and I still believe that there is definitely room for it if they had ever wanted to release it in theaters. I think it's something that could easily be entertaining for the entire family, and it helps. I think now that we're close to the century mark with that character, and it would definitely be something that I think a lot of people would really, really love it. So
now there are a few other things. Oh, and by the way, I think if I didn't mention this before, again, this goes out of my head. AF Watcher 88 is here. And Keith, it looks like you put in, I didn't realize that he worked. No, I did realize that actually. He worked on Tiny Toon Adventures and Batman the Animated Series. I think that's just where he got, that was like his entry into animation before he got to come into his own. I'd be remiss not to mention as well that there was a single season of a giant robot fighting kaiju series that I absolutely loved called Symbionic Titan.
Yep.
And it is, again, amazing because it's like a John Hughes movie.
Yep.
Meets, like Godzilla versus movies, where essentially they are aliens. They're escaping an authoritarian takeover their world. A princess and her, a soldier and a robot, and they all have mech suits. And like Voltron, they can combine these mech suits to create the Symbionic Titan. And essentially they're hiding out on Earth, going to high school, and trying to fit in, and doing a poor job of it, but in really fun, again, endearing ways with amazing characters. And it gets a bit adult. There's a girl who's a cheerleader who tries to get one of the characters to do her homework for him by doing this kind of rump shake dance. But it I wish it would have got another season. It was very popular, but apparently Cartoon Network felt like it needed to be canceled because they didn't have any toys for it. And which I think could have been easily remedied because the kaiju and the robots were freaking awesome.
It was definitely one of those shows that, first of all, I saw it. I enjoyed every single episode of it. I agree that the show should have gone longer. I wish it had, because it had something for everyone in it. Mm-hmm. And it was just that good. And that was back in 2010.
It was really funny, too. I mean, it was like, it really had some great character moments that made you laugh out loud. I mean, even my wife, who, if I'm watching something, she'll half pay attention to it, but she would overhear like some of the gags in it and stuff. And then they became part of our, how everybody has things that they quote as part of their kind of language with one another. They're, there were jokes from it that her and I would use regularly in our daily conversation. It was really a wonderful show. And I do believe it's on Netflix. For anyone.
Oh, well, it's another example of Mr. Tartakovsky using stuff that he grew up with as the basis for creating something else. And in this particular case with this show, he grew up with a lot of mech anime, so he was a big fan of Robotech and Voltron, which is where this came from. And if you fuse that with the John Hughes style of doing films about teenagers, namely 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club, and then lots of 1980s pop culture references, and a little bit of Miyazaki's Castle in the Sky. There is a lot to that.
And he throws in, he doesn't limit it though. I mean, he throws in stuff like there's an episode that's pretty much like a Fast and Furious episode where one of the characters discovers the joy of cars, but then he gets in trouble for street racing, and he gets into it with like a one of these like Fast and Furious type characters, but then they bring a kaiju into it as well. But it is a great scene where he has to take his driver's test to get his license, and a kaiju shows up while he's being chased by this guy, and the driving instructor is freaking out because she's just she's hanging on for dear life while he's trying to drive while a kaiju is taking out a bridge that they're on, and it's amazing and hilarious.
Well, the show was ended after one season, and I think they ended it on a cliffhanger.
They did. It was a positive cliffhanger, though.
It was. Tartakovsky talked about it. He had mentioned it in an interview in February of 2017, talking about the possibility of bringing the show back so that, they could end the season 1 cliffhanger.
I would love that. Yeah.
The 2 lead characters later made an appearance on the animated series OKKO, Let's Be Heroes.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's the episode called Crossover Nexus. And then with Tara Strong reprising the role of Alana.
Yeah.
And then
and it is worth mentioning, by the way, that a proto version of these characters also showed up in an episode of Samurai Jack. They were kind of I don't know, bee people or something like that. They had it was anyway, I won't get into that because we could go off into the reads. I do want to, now that we've kind of covered the expanse of Tartakovsky's career to a degree and how this all ties in, I do want to come back to season 2 of Primal, which is immediately a different animal. Again, speaking of kind of ending on cliffhangers, the first or the final episode of season 1 ended with Spear encountering a runaway slave, a woman named Mira, who at first is, runs from them, but then they kind of befriend her, and she turns out to be handy with a bow and arrow, which I don't think they've ever seen before. They've never seen any kind of modern, or not modern, but a weapon that is anything beyond a club. And she cooks food. She knows how to put together ingredients. And of course, Spear becomes kind of smitten with her. And then it ends with her getting recaptured. And then the new season picks up with Spear and Fang building a raft and sailing across a very dangerous prehistoric sea, and then landing in a place where you see civilization starting to form, which includes kind of, I would call, Viking type characters, and almost like Scottish Highlanders, I think is the first that he comes across. Now, Spear and Fang get separated, and Fang meets a boy dinosaur who she goes hunting with. And again, just the brutality of this show ends up killing some of the people in the village that has taken Spear in. So again, it's this very gray area of you want to, love these characters and root for them, but at the same time, in the brutal world they're in, sometimes they end up being the murderous ones, the killers. That episode ends with the boy dinosaur getting killed by the village. Actually, Fang, with her loyalty to Spear, ends up protecting Spear from this other dinosaur and accidentally killing him, which you can see she's devastated by. So again, it's just this brutal environment, and she's sad, but it turns out she's also been impregnated by this dinosaur. Yeah, and then things get even weirder from there. But before I go on with that, either of you have anything you want to add to that part?
No, man, go crazy.
No,
No, you
Okay.
got it.
So essentially, they end up finding who has kidnapped Mira. They're slavers. They're kind of Viking slavers, and you see him go to rescue Mira, and it ends up turning into a bloody conflict that's kind of like a Frank Miller thing, where he's got arrows sticking out of him like it's 300, and he ends up slaughtering every man, woman, and child in this village to rescue Mira. At first, it's not his intention to do so. A matter of fact, it's not his intention to do so throughout the entire episode. But what happens is, because he slaughters a few people trying to rescue her, because he's trying to get her out quietly, but then he gets attacked and he kills those people, which leads to more villagers and more villagers coming at him. And what was it? I think I might buy into the pizza shop to upgrade it, and so I don't have to work anymore. Oh,
Yeah, he's going full Elon Musk.
Yes, boy, that's a whole other subject onto itself. That's very interesting. Keeping an eye on that, but I don't want to go off into the reeds. So yeah, but even this mother and child, a mother attacks him with a baby on her back. And he tries not to kill him, but they're so brutal. They're so adamant about getting him that he ends up killing. Fang ends up eating her, and this little boy with a bow and arrow keeps shooting at him, and he tries to just bat him away because he doesn't want to kill him, but he ends up batting him, and that little kid hits his head on a rock and dies. So yeah, he ends up slaughtering the entire village. So him, Mira, and Fang leave. They're all bloodied up. He's got arrows sticking at him. They take a boat and leave. And then you see one last Viking and his son appear with some slaves that they brought back, only to find their entire village slaughtered. And you see them grieve. You see the human side of them. They end up freeing their slaves. And it's one of these shows. It's like you think you're meant to hate them because they're capturing slaves, and yes, you should, because slavery is awful. But at the same time, you see the human side of them, that this is kind of their way of life. They don't think of it in moral terms like we would in civilization. You just see the sadness of their entire village, including you find out that this Viking man, it was his wife and his son that you see get killed. And he buries his dead. He buries his wife. His son is devastated, and they burn their village, and they leave to go hunt for Spear and Fang. And then you see in that process, in a very cool mid-air pterodactyl battle, you see this character, his son falls off the pterodactyl and falls to his death. So again, it's not presented as this is the bad guy and our, Spear and Fang are the good guys. It's two people coming from two different worlds who have clashed, and it's ended in brutality.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up getting killed. And you see him, you see these kind of Valhalla style beautiful angel women come down like they're going to take him to the afterlife. And then suddenly he gets grabbed and sucked down into hell by a demon that looks remarkably like Aku. And essentially, with no dialogue, you're shown that this guy makes a deal with the devil for vengeance and then rises back out of the ground as this fire demon that's just hunting for Spear and Fang. Meanwhile, Spear and Fang and Mira have been captured by another group of slavers who force them to fight in their battles in these giant boats, and all this crazy stuff happens.
Kind of like their pseudo-Egyptian society.
Yeah. Yeah, in a way. Yeah, kind of like a Cleopatra-esque thing. And again, you can't do it justice by just summarizing it, because all this, what's missing from the conversation is how this stuff is presented, how these characters are designed, how these environments are laid out, how things play out. Nothing is just like, then this happened, then this happened. You see things from their culture. You see Mira be forced to dance as a slave dancer.
Well, you're introduced to the giant.
The giant,
who originally fought Fang and Spear and brought them to heel because his daughter's being held by the evil queen.
Yep.
And then later on, you find out that his people are actually the ones rowing the ship, because this is huge, gigantic, massive, like
8-story tall ship.
Huge, just it's like the size of an ocean liner. Like a cruise ship. It's that big.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's amazing. So once that story ends, Mira, Spear, and Fang actually make it back to where Mira is from, which turns out to be an African village where, again, these slavers had slaughtered some of their people and kidnapped her and branded her in the back of the head. And I think I have to say, yesterday when I saw Gary, he said that the last episode went woke. I don't think it did. I can see how people might perceive that because it is commenting on the slavery of Africans, but it's not presented in a way that is that I would call woke. It's just the reality of people being captured and put into slavery.
Well, no, the Vikings that originally took her village, people out of her village in the first place, when they come back from after Mira, Spear, and Fang have completely slaughtered their village, they have white people in their, it's a bunch of white people in their boat. So it's not one particular race. They're slaving from anybody that they can capture.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I didn't get that. And maybe Gary meant something else. I will say that I was disappointed in the end, though, because it kind of was just like Spear is kind of an outsider. They're having trouble accepting them. They kind of have to put them in another place, and the hut that they put them in gets destroyed by Fang. It's like Spear is kind of feeling like he's not fitting in. And then the fire demon comes for his vengeance, and they fight him for a few minutes, and Spear ends up getting burned severely to the point of death. And then suddenly the demon hand, the Aku hand, just grabs the fire demon and pulls them back in. It's like, okay.
Because he had his vengeance.
I guess so, yeah. It just,
he was dying.
It just happened so quickly. I felt like it could have been played out a little longer to really kind of make that an emotional moment to show. Yeah, and I did get that the vengeance had been fulfilled and he's reclaiming him, but to really drive home the price of vengeance for that character and make it sad, make it, like, oh, this is actually, my thirst for vengeance when I could have just ascended to heaven has now damned me forever.
We've got a bot.
Uh-oh.
Has been dealt with.
Oh, okay.
We have to do it.
Yeah, and Anima has a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, not a big fan of that movie.
I will. Maybe we should talk about that movie another time. I understand why the movie is wrong for Asimov, but I do like that movie. But anyway, Anima has a
they
comment.
just
Being
should
a
have
slave means that somebody
another name.
owns you, and that is effed up no matter if they are nice or not. Yeah, absolutely. When you understand the environment of this show, when you understand that this show is, I would almost say, not only is this a prehistoric show, it's a pre-morals show. Nobody has sat any of these characters down and talked about right and wrong. They are just existing to survive, and yeah, that is anyway. But again, so the show ends very abruptly. Now, there's two things that are interesting to me in terms of how this show is going to continue, because one is there's one thing I forgot to mention. So Spear is dying. He's all burned. Every part of his body is like 3rd-degree burns, very severe. He's the village doctor or whatever he is, medicine man, has pretty much pantomimed, proclaimed that he's going to die. Fang roars in despair and goes stomping off with her little baby dinosaurs because like I said, she was impregnated. And Mira is there with him as he's dying, and he says her name, and she decides to take a ride and get his seed from him as a way of him continuing on. Now, yeah,
a world according to Garp style.
It is. Yeah.
Let me guess, you've never seen that movie.
I have not. I'm trying not to joke for a second.
Okay, trust me, that's a plot point in Robin Williams's first major movie.
Oh, okay. Well,
second major movie, I should say.
And maybe that's an influence. Now, this, anyone else would say that this is this is someone raping someone who is in no position to consent. But again, in this world, I mean, I don't think he has a problem with it, but it's very interesting because you do see her get on top of him. It's not shown explicitly, but she makes motions to suggest the act, and then the final thing you see is her child, which is a long-haired girl, maybe 10 years old, riding on one of Spear's children. And it's kind of suggested that she's going to Optimus Primal. It suggested that there's a new generation. I think the episode is called Legacy. Now, there is one episode that kind of comes out of left field in season 2, which is
a good. I love it.
It's a great episode. Yeah, it doesn't take place in the primal land. It takes place in Victorian England, and it's
1890.
A rainy night meeting between some intellectuals in a Victorian house. One of them is suggested to be Charles Darwin, who is getting laughed at for his theories on what is he saying? He's saying, like, we're only one traumatic incident away from reverting back to our primal nature. And then a madman who is very much like Spear, who has escaped from a lunatic asylum, infiltrates their house and starts, it's a big house, so it's kind of a maze, starts slaughtering the guests.
Well,
they're trying to hunt him down.
It's like there's an adventure society.
Yeah.
So you've got the hunting trophies on the wall and the weapons and the displays and stuff, and they got the old men sitting around talking, and Charles is the young man in the group.
Yeah.
And so he's like the newest member, I guess, and they're kind of laughing at him, and but that's where this all takes place, is in one of those British style adventurers club.
And we have a few more people in the chat. We've got let's see, Peter Vakeman, the Peter Vakeman fan site, and who else do we have?
Bill Barkley. We mentioned Bill Barkley. The stream elements. Wait, what's that? That's the bot for
That's
the channel.
bot. Okay, that's what I thought. But I didn't want to offend anybody just in case. But yeah, so again, it's fascinating to me that this escaped lunatic, though, is very much like Fang or Spear. I keep doing that. And kind of commenting that who we're watching and seeing as the hero of the show in that time would be Boomer Chris. I'm Gen X, totally Gen X. Would be, considered a savage lunatic, unacceptable in civilization. So it's kind of a commentary of just, that Fang or Spear is only a hero or a good protagonist in the context of this savage world, but we would never tolerate him in ours. But we do see at the end one of the adventure type people having to do. He became primal again in order to defeat this lunatic, and it was fantastic. And it's also kind of a precursor, kind of a lead into what Tartakovsky was saying would be next for season 3, which is instead of an ongoing narrative about a single character, it would just take place in different eras. He even mentioned that there might be an episode with UFOs, which I think sounds awesome. But this kind of anthology of
I don't know, man. It sounds like time to stop.
It is a good place to stop. It is a good place to stop. But at the same time, I would like to see some of these. Again, his idea for different savage environments for these stories.
Actually, if it was my choice and I was making the decision, I would choose not to continue the series and get him to make Conan the Barbarian the animated series.
Wow.
Based on the second season alone. The concept, the stuff that came up, it was the whole second season is very Conan-esque.
Wow.
Including with the because a lot of the societies in Conan are based on real world societies.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got like a fantasy bend to it. Well, these are also the same way. They have, they're based on, because you see Sumerians, you see I think we see Aztec at one point. We see simple herders that
you know what I would do though? I would go a slightly different direction. I would stick with Conan. Okay. What I would do is, considering that there are quote unquote a limited number of Conan stories, I would do episodes that are between the book series.
Yeah. That's
I
fine.
would take advantage of that rather than trying to do an animated version of stuff, because there are still plans to do Conan as a television series, and I wouldn't want to interfere with that. And so if you did an animated series where you took it from between the books, kind of like doing James Bond, you go between the adventures, and that would really be kind of cool, and you wouldn't mess anything up as far as any live action.
And you don't have to restrict yourself to the Robert Howard books. You could go on some of the ones that have been written since then by some of the other authors that play in that world.
I'm gonna say that he would be the perfect person for this, and there should be some flexibility. I almost think that Tartakovsky made this show because maybe he wanted to do something Conan but didn't want to bother with getting the rights. because now go ahead.
When Spear gets his first sword and he straps it and he's got it strapped over his shoulder, and the hair, he looks like Conan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He looks like Conan with maybe a bigger forehead. But
now, speaking of Conan animations, I have pulled up here, if we want to, if I can share my screen, there's a 2-minute. I don't think we'll get copyright striked for this because it's a fan film. It's a 2-minute fan film. We're gonna watch it, and you guys tell me if this is along the lines of something that you want to see, because I think this is brilliant. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And just for credit where credit is due, let's see. Mug and Macer's YouTube channel. Conan let's see. Oh, I just wanted to show the credits for a second.
He calls them pics, but they look more like he called them pics, but they look more like orcs.
Let's see. I'll stop sharing. There we go. So, and by the way, I should mention that Tartakovsky's work and Primal and Samurai Jack and stuff like this animation here are what inspired me to do Escape from Planet Omega 12. Ah, hold on. I got started the next video. Just again, I thought that was a brilliant example of using new technology and hand-drawn animation to create motion that is animated version of Conan O'Brien. Darius Munchausen. Did we mention him? Again.
No.
Okay.
We got Joe's Atmospheres here too.
Oh, what's up, my honorary Oos? Yeah. Awesome. Glad you guys could join us. So yeah, I mean, this is, again, I think you're right. I think the show did end at a good place. With Tartakovsky, I'd never begrudge him the opportunity to give us more, but maybe it doesn't need to be under the banner of Primal. Maybe it just should be a new show, but yeah, that is what I wanted to talk about today. And I'm in love with this man's work and want to see more.
Well, look, at this point, I think the head of animation that they have for Warner Brothers Discovery is also a big fan of his. And I think that no matter what happens, they're not going to let this guy walk out the door. They will have other things for him to do, and they will allow him to create other projects if need be. I still think that we should not be surprised to see him work a little bit within the DC arena and do something like the Metal Men, which would be really within his wheelhouse to be able to create something like that.
And normally I would say something like the Metal Men would be too obscure, but Tartakovsky is the kind of person that could take, just like with oh, hey, good morning. Just like with blocking on his name, terrible about doing this, but with the Guardians of the Galaxy,
James Gunn,
how James Gunn took Guardians of the Galaxy characters that, I mean, even I'd heard of them, but I didn't know anything about them, even as a comic book fan, and turned them into beloved characters. And so I think that, yeah, that is definitely possible. Now, do you think Zaslav is gonna?
Zaslav is done. His thing is very rudimentary. He had three things that he needed to accomplish, and he's accomplished all three technically. Okay, first and foremost, he wanted Henry Cavill. Period. Got him. Okay. Yep. He's been able to settle the situation for the most part with DC Studios, fixed it, got rid of all of the bad people and all of the idiots, and he's leaving it up to them to do whatever is necessary to fix whatever they need. The only other thing is, what do we need to solidify going forward with DC Films? Well, it's looking more and more like James Gunn, Henry Cavill, and Ben Affleck have all signed contracts probably near enough on the same day to one another. So this has all been planned. Basically, whatever we hear, I think the general public, all of us, are at least weeks, if not months, out of sync with where they actually are. The planning has already begun. The takeover has, the changes necessary to fix everything have already begun. And the films, as we've stated before, that are yet to be released are not the actual movies or original ideas of the people that are going to be fixing everything. Black Adam is the result of Zaslav and his team cutting a lot of the stuff that they felt was a little too preachy and a little too woke in the Black Adam film. Basically, all the stuff that The Rock had to say yes to in order to get the movie made, they just cut it all out.
Well, The Rock has, and The Rock has, excuse me, The Rock is, I mean, he's The Rock, so he's going to have the ear of Zaslav.
Oh, of course. Of course.
With Tartakovsky, I'm concerned just because we have essentially, what is it, like 33 different animated shows just got axed, and Zaslav, he doesn't know anything about animation. He's just
Zaslav, not the guy that you have to go to. The man that you need to go to his name is Sam Register. Now, Sam Register has been with Warner Brothers Animation pretty much since around the time of Batman the Animated Series. He began with those guys and worked his way up to becoming the president of Warner Brothers Discovery Animation and of Cartoon Network Studios and Hanna-Barbera Studios Europe.
Yeah.
So he is the guy. And again, if you wanted to see more Tartakovsky, you got to get in touch with Mr. Sam Register. He is the guy whose name has appeared on many of the really cool animated films, especially Batman films that they made before all those people were fired by the last administration of people who themselves just got fired.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, Scribe Light is here. My buddy Scribe, who joins me on my live streams on my own channel, by the way. And also, Joe's Atmosphere is here. What's up, Oos?
Not much, buddy. Just figured I'd duck in for the end of the show and say hi to everybody.
Hello. Have you seen Primal or Samurai Jack or any of those?
Not really. I'm not really an animation fan too much. People tell me that I need to watch the DC stuff. They say it's great. I've never seen it. I've seen you doing shows on Primal, but I do have to say that fan made one you just showed. Whoever made that is a big fan of the movie Heavy Metal, which I do like. I like that
absolutely.
Because it looks a lot like the animation. Tracking live actors and stuff. That's what it looks like. It's pretty cool.
Joe, I just placed something in the private chat that I think you'll like. It's an animated short. This is made by somebody who is not producing anything big at all. It was kind of done in their own time. I think you'll like it. Trust me. You will.
All right, I will
it.
check it out at another time. Yes, for sure. I'm not totally averse to animation. It's just I'm more into the live action and actors. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be an actor when I was a kid, and I watched the Academy Awards religiously and stuff. But when animation is done right, it can be one of the best mediums there is.
Well,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'll say this too, as a father of two girls who, I was constantly inundated with Disney animation. Little Mermaid. Every day, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I very much got into a phase where I was not wanting to watch anything animated because I was just so saturated with it during the day. But I love animation in terms of like I said, when it's someone who really wants to push the envelope of what animation can do. Like I said, that film that I just showed, I think did a great job of that. And that was a single animator, Genndy Tartakovsky. And I do love the Disney animation stuff as well. But yeah, animation. The last one
I watched was on Netflix, and it was really good. It's based on a video game. I want to say it was Apex Legends. Yeah, Arcane. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, it's based on Legends. Arcane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
enjoyed the heck out of that show. That was really good.
And again, that looked very interesting. It's hard for me. Like, one of the reasons that I don't watch a lot of anime, I've watched some anime, but it's a part of a different culture, so it's hard for me to.
That one's not anime, if that's what you're.
Oh no. I'm just saying. One of the things about anime though is because it's just such a common storytelling format, you will get a lot of it that just starts to become kind of what I would call pipeline animation.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it's just, you know, they've got their way of doing it, and then the writers tell their story, and then that's it. And it's good, but it doesn't, a lot of times it's not pushing the envelope. But then you do get some anime that does push the envelope, and then I mean, again, showing my age here, but I mean, when I saw Akira, I was just, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of set a standard that most anime
doesn't match that, no doubt.
Exactly.
It's not.
Chris,
you're right.
Chris?
Pipeline is about right. Yeah, they just pump out a format, and it's
Chris,
What's that, John?
don't let the weebs hear you say that.
right. They'll be all over you. No, I was gonna say, you know, when I was growing up, I'm a dad. My kids are grown though. I'm a little bit older than most of you guys, but they lived for X-Men and Spider-Man Saturday mornings. I mean, they lived for those shows. And
mine were Batman animated series.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I've
that
heard,
was when I was a
see, if
teenager
I was
that
going to
came
watch anything DC's put out, it would be that. I've heard more good things about about Batman the animated series than anything.
Well, Batman the animated series again is one of those things that set a bar that I feel has not been reached since.
Right.
And it's not because and when you watch a lot of the animation that follows, it's using it as the template, but there was just something about that, the raw energy of something that had not been done quite that way before. I mean, it was influenced by the Fleischers and their Superman stuff, but
yes,
the mature context of the stories, with the idea that they were doing all the environments, airbrushing them on black paper.
From an artistic perspective, yes. The real magic of that show, and this was talked about by the actors themselves, was how they did it as far as the acting portion was. They did it like the old-fashioned radio shows, is how a lot of the first and second season were done. So you had a lot of the cast would actually be together in the recording studio together to be able to act and mime out a lot of this stuff.
Right, they were playing off of each other instead of doing it solo, right?
That's right. So you had a lot of big name actors and character actors that were invited in to have fun, basically creating a radio version of Batman that just happened to be animated.
Yeah.
That is the magic
and
of
it
that
made
show.
it made those voice actors huge. I remember when I was watching the last thing I watched in the Arrowverse was the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they had what was that guy's name? Is it Kevin Conroy?
Yep.
They had him on as an older Batman, and people freaked out when they saw him on there.
Oh, they're rock stars. That entire cast is rock stars.
Well, of course, Mark Hamill kind of reinvigorated himself as the Joker as well.
Right. A lot of people think he's the best Joker that's ever been. You know,
and Tara Strong was in when they did Suicide Squad on Arrow. She was Harley Quinn in the cell.
Yeah. Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
She kind of looks the part. I was just going to say though, if anyone, I see that there are weebs in the chat who want to recommend stuff to me, shoot it over to me on my Twitter, C Moonlight Films. I will entertain recommendations.
Well, I'll tell you my favorite anime, but you can't watch it with the kids around. Wicked City. Wicked City.
I've seen Wicked City. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I've seen Wicked City.
Yeah.
I see not Wicked City, Wicked City.
Mm-hmm.
Kite was one that I checked out. I do check out anime. I do like anime. It's just it doesn't hold me and excite me generally like Western animation does.
Well,
and that's just maybe it's a cultural thing or a stylistic thing.
You're right. A lot of it's pumped out. Teenage angst shows. It's a lot of it's the same.
Yeah,
but
when something
my favorite one of all
no
time,
doesn't
and I'll
interest
quit
me,
about the
so.
anime. My favorite one was Star Blazers. I used to run home from school to watch that every afternoon.
Well, I used to watch, things like Robotech, and when they took Macross and called it Robotech, and then they took different anime and kind of tried to pass it as different seasons, and I didn't quite see the connection, but I liked it anyway. I mean, as a kid, that old school or Dirty Pair. I used to watch Dirty Pair.
Yeah, Dirty Pair.
And again, Adam Warren, who's an American I think, does an amazing Dirty Pair comic, or did, that was just outstanding. It was hilarious, and it was in that style. But I hate to say this, but I'm going past my time, so I think
real quick, my favorite anime is called Rurouni Kenshin, and you need to watch it.
Rurouni Kenshin.
I've heard
Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh, Rurouni Kenshin. Where can I watch it though?
You all talk so.
I think it's like on the anime streaming service.
See, I don't have any of that, and this is where my the normie factor comes in.
Well, you can always tune into Crunchyroll. A lot of that's
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is
Crunchyroll is free.
Is that a free app to
They've got some pay stuff. They got some stuff behind a paywall, but a lot of the stuff on there is free. Yeah, Crunchyroll.
Well, I mean, I definitely do want to check it out. It's just like I said, I kind of have that normie mentality where it's like it's got to be easy for me to get. And I think, and it's not just because I'm lazy, but I also think in terms of if we want to broaden the audience for this stuff, it always has to be easy for them as well.
Yes,
exactly.
You know. So, but anyway, yeah, I don't even know what the only thing I know about weebs is that one of the people in the chat sometimes calls himself the weeb pillar, which I find hilarious. I think weeb is just an anime fan, right? Is that
I'm sharing something?
Right?
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the chat.
So
Rurouni Kenshin is on Crunchyroll for free.
For free, there you go.
You just got to deal with ads, but yeah.
Oh, I do. So can I get Crunchyroll on my Roku? Can I download it there?
Yeah, there's a Crunchyroll app.
Yeah, it's an app that you can download on
excellent.
most things. Yep.
One last thing, though.
One last thing.
And let me just wrap this all up by saying that as far as DC animation goes and a lot of the stuff you should watch, almost all of that stuff is currently on HBO Max. Go ahead and start with Son of Batman, and then Batman versus Robin. Okay. Yep. Because they're actually even though those are individual films, they're actually telling a story. Mm-hmm. And everybody that made those were the people that got that Toby and Walter fired for the new animating people that they have going on right now. And these were the people that Zaslav got rid of. Okay, so it's a lot of back and forth, but the best animation people were the ones that Toby and Walter fired.
Yeah, I would have them start at Flashpoint and do that whole Flashpoint through Justice League Dark, Doom War, all those.
Yeah, all of that stuff is just all of that Man of Tomorrow. I think that's the name of the animated one that they restarted with. Yeah, all of that stuff that is phenomenal stuff, and the stories are fantastic. And
also shout out for Batman: Mask of the Phantasm,
of course. But Justice League: The New Frontier is the movie that I think everyone can sit down, even with your kids, and watch and enjoy it. It is phenomenal piece.
Everybody knows I'm a big Supergirl fan, and the only one that I've seen out of that universe is Superman Unbound.
That's a good one too. Yeah. All the people that did all of that were the people that Toby and Walter fired.
Yep.
To bring in all of the people that they wanted.
Yeah, the animation's great. Just put a cap on it. But as far as animation goes, I think that the stuff that DC does is fantastic. My favorite ever, though, is Ralph Bakshi. I loved his Lord of the Rings before we had Jackson's version.
Wizards.
Fritz,
they killed Fritz. I'm okay. Zoom. They killed Fritz.
I think he's the best ever, but that's just that's an old man talking. So
yeah.
I want to start a fight here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So
we're going to wrap up the show.
I was going to say
there's going to be some.
Whoa! I just got here. And you're wrapping it up.
Yeah, we were just about to wrap up.
Give a
It's
second.
like a virgin on prom night. You're wrapping it up, okay?
Bill, Vox Machina is not anime.
Nope, that's Western animation. Do not Chris, do not under any circumstances watch The Killing Joke.
Oh God, no.
Do not. No.
I mean,
no.
I heard about
Yeah.
what went down.
The beginning of it's bad. Like,
no, just skip the whole thing. It's not worth your time.
No, but no. It actually,
It's-
like when they stick to the comic book, it's good. But that whole Batman,
It's
banging
passable.
Batgirl was
It's
not
passable. It's not good.
Okay,
It's
all right.
passable.
Yeah, it's not. Again, that goes into another conversation about interpreting stories from one medium to another. But the fact that we were trying to wrap it up.
Interpreting, there was nothing in the comic about Batman banging Batgirl in the comic. There was nothing. That was, they made all that shit up. If you take out the first 15, 20 minutes of that movie, it's very true to the comic, and the ending's really good. I actually, I like it, except if you like I said, if you just don't watch the beginning, it's good in my opinion. But what do I know?
Well, have you seen Primal, by the way?
No. People have been telling me to watch it. I actually just started watching finally Prodigy, Star Trek Prodigy, which I don't know if any of you have seen it. I've watched the first 4 episodes, and it feels more like Star Wars than Star Trek, and it's got me kind of conflicted about how I feel. So
yeah, that's I noped out on Star Trek a long time ago.
I was fixing to say that's been the main thrust of Paramount since they became a streaming service, is turning Star Trek into Star Wars.
Yeah.
Dude, no, I'm serious. If you watch Prodigy, the first episode, it's like it looks like I thought I forgot it. I thought I was watching Star Wars. The way the aliens look, the way the villain looks with the. Have you seen it, Keith?
That's because they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. Yeah. Seriously, I could care less who they bring in to do whatever. But if you can't,
you couldn't care less. That's what you meant.
Sorry, I couldn't care less. And you know what? When it comes to anybody working on those shows. Well, when it comes to the people writing those shows, I think they all just need to have their heads examined, because these actors and the people putting the sets together and the makeup and whatever else they're doing, they are working their butts off. They're really trying, but they are being completely let down by the so-called creative people behind a lot of this stuff. So. I mean, these people are stealing. They're stealing money, in my opinion. I mean, the so-called creatives are stealing money.
So after so I watched, because my buddy Mike, who does Salty Trekker, we do a show every Thursday, and Mike Crawford, I think you guys might know him, and. So he was like, hey, now that Lower Decks is over and She-Hulk's over, let's watch Prodigy and talk about that. So I started watching Prodigy. I got so bummed out, I had to throw on some old school Quantum Leap. No, I'm serious. No, because that's like that's one of my shows. It's like my comfort food type of show.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
I watched the Evil Leaper, Evil Leaper trilogy, the 3 episodes with the Evil Leapers.
You know that's with the creator of that show, he has a habit of doing that every so often on all his shows. He kind of did the same thing a few years before with Knight Rider.
Yeah. Car.
Plug your channel, by the way. Do I follow you? What's your channel?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really have a channel. I'm like Kato Kalin of YouTube. I'm on like everybody else's channel. So the Thursday show I'm talking about is Salty Trekker is his name. So just like, I'm sure it's called Nerd Fight every Thursday.
Okay.
So I'm sure you can find it. I actually did just get my own personalized URL at YouTube after fucking 10 years. So it's like youtube.com/@dorknightlv, but there's nothing really on there because I'm on everybody else's channels.
Well, good. Glad you plugged it though. Just in case. Yeah. And of course you're Dork Knight on Twitter too, right?
Yeah, I'm Dork Knight on everything. My phone number is 900 Dork, for crying out loud. I'm not even kidding. You know, like
All right. Well, I tell you what, I do have to wrap it up because I got stuff to do. But I want to, let's see. Not everyone. Let's see. I'm gonna have to go through the general chat to shout everyone out because I don't think they're all here. But thank you.
In the private chat, there's a list, Chris.
Is it all in there?
Yeah.
I don't think it would. See. Kylock, Anime Confucia, Dragon Ruse, King's Protocol, Magitech Mags, Real Wade Nation, Zax, AF Watcher 88, and Peter Venkman Fan Site, The World According to Garb, Darius Munchausen, Joe's Atmosphere, who's with us right now, Scribe Light, my buddy, and BRB. Oh, be right back. No, just kidding. I knew that. But there's a few more. I think there's a few. We have D. Bud Martin, Bill Barkley, Scott Lewis.
I noticed that too, Anima. He called you anime. That's fine.
Did I?
Yeah. And Kingsport, man. Kingsport, he's just giving up expecting you to say his name correctly.
Yeah. Well, I read them fast. I'm trying to keep us on topic. Look at the chat. Like this is hard for someone with learning disability.
Usually, you guys go 2 hours. I thought I had at least another 18 minutes with you guys.
Oh no, I usually go just 1 hour.
Yeah, Chris is going long today. That's why I went ahead and got on. Said hi to him. Yeah.
Let's see. Did I miss anyone? I'm just saying things, or am I done saying things wrong? Let's see. We got Peter. Go ahead, Martin.
Say hi to Bill Barclay and Dragon Ruse and all of those fine folks.
I think we did.
Okay.
Alf Jeebus, of course. I can't do an Alf impersonation. I try and find a way to say thank you, come again.
All you got to do is say cats are tasty and you're fine. So.
All my cats are out of the room at the moment. Or mysteriously missing. So all right, I think that's it. And I'll just say thank you, gentlemen, for again watching me flub my way through this. I haven't gotten fired yet. And just plug for a moment. I do have a subscribe star, which I will tweet out. I'll be posting my episodes there as well as behind the scenes stuff for Escape from Planet Omega 12. Anything else?
Yeah, it's Tuesday, so I have my live stream today on my channel. It's at 4 o'clock Central.
4 o'clock Central. That's Wolfen's live stream of live streaming.
Random stream of randomness.
That's it.
Random stream of randomness, and it's very good. You should check it out, guys, for sure.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Dus Wolfen. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Dork Knight.
I have.
Oh, yes, my honorary oos.
I have
honorary
a 200. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You're being really oosy today,
right?
I'm feeling oosy.
I have a 200 subscriber celebration tomorrow night during State of the Atmosphere at 5:30. So, any of you guys, you guys are all in the thread for that show anyway. I will, and if you're not, I will put you in it. Come by, say hi. You know, if you have time.
Is that at again?
It's a show I do on Wednesdays called State of the Atmosphere. It's just me talking to the chat. I bring up a couple of subjects and I talk to whoever shows up. Usually, Das Wolfen was on last week for the second part of our Halloween thing, and the guy that was on with us last week, Bud Matt from Small Time Republic, he's damn near there every week. So, yeah, but fantastic. I'll have it wide open for anybody because it's a 200 subscriber celebration show.
Well, congratulations.
5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern for about 2 hours. Yep.
Yeah, it's right at the time where my wife's getting home, so that's a tough one. But I'll keep if the opportunity.
No, but I don't put a gun to anybody's head. I appreciate it if you show up. If it's not your time, that's cool, man. Don't worry about it.
It's all
you are welcome.
So Joe, did you watch Raw last night?
No, but I got to catch up with the Wrestle Talk guys. We'll talk after the show. He's trying to get out of here.
All right, everyone, stay oosy.
What up, Boosh?
No, it was great. Roman Reigns broke character over that. When
It's
that dude
my
said
favorite thing in a
Usi.
long time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best things going.
You're
It
not
really
being
is.
very Usi.
Right.
We'll talk about that more after. Martin, take
Yeah.
us out.
Take care.
Credits.
That is good.
Hang loose. Oos.
Don't mind me. Don't mind me.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon for updates on our shows and channel. Also, please leave a comment, and we'd like to know what you thought of the episode, as well as letting us know if there's something you'd like us to cover in a future episode. Don't forget that you can become a member of Pop Culture Minefield now. Make sure to visit our membership page and merch store at popcultureminefield.com. You can always find Pop Culture Minefield on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch.
Y'all come back now, you hear?